Hey guys, what's up? Lewin here at Garageband and beyond. Welcome back. Don't forget, if you want the free home recording studio shoppers list, click that link below. Do what you got to do. Anyway, why I'm here today is to talk about beginner mistakes. You know, a lot of people send me MP3s to listen to give my advice on. And one of the most common mistakes I hear is way too much high end and way too much low end. These are real problems for people, especially beginning budding engineers. I don't know if it's because you're listening through stereo speakers or you're only using headphones or, basically not using studio monitors. This is going to be a big challenge. However, I'm going to give you some tips today. So what we're going to do, and this can be applied to individual track recording for any instrument that you work with. But today, since I'm using a finished mix, I'm going to be talking about it in terms of mastering. So one thing I want you to hear is, so this is the, with a little help from my friends that I did for the Aventone video. And I just wanted you to hear it unmastered. So here it is unmastered, right? What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little... Right? So that's, you should recognize that from the other video. Now, I want you to hear it mastered, and here is I use the T-Rax 3 mastering software, and I really do love this. This is available from IK Multimedia. I love it, love it, love it. Really easy at home, sort of fake mastering, but it definitely does a great job. But anyway, I want you to hear it here, and also look at this EQ curve. This is the master EQ curve that I've come up with for it, and here's what it sounds like mastered. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. Right? Okay, so you should be able to have heard a difference between those two recordings. Obviously, the one that's unmastered is less loud, definitely. But what I want you to be hearing and looking at right here is this curve that I did here at the end of it, at the low end of it, and also here at the top end of it. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm shaving off the fat. You know what I mean? So like anything below 20 hertz, you just really don't need it. Most car speakers, most speakers in general can't, replicate those sounds. And then again, above 20 kilohertz, I've shaved all of that high end off. I mean, you can see the line comes down right at that 20 kilohertz mark. So like I said, this is on a whole mix, but this is something, if you're using sort of inexpensive microphones, high end is a real battle. You're like, it always sounds so tinny. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I like to use in GarageBand. Actually, I don't have to do that. In GarageBand, if you're like doing like a regular acoustic guitar track and you're like, it's too bright, just too bright, there's one thing only you should be using to get rid of that, and it is right here, the Treble Reduction. I know I'm in the master track, but this is on all tracks. And the Treble Reduction is, exactly what it says. Here, I'll just play it for you. What would you do if I sang out of tune? Right, it's a filter. So this is a high-end filter. Now, adversely, if you are working on bass tracks, it's very, very important to shave off all the low end that you don't want, right? And this is something that's going to come with experience, and you're really going to have to use your ears to do this right. But let me show you. I mean, I didn't actually put it on here because I really was happy with my bass tone, but let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, of course, we're not at the top, so let's go here. Right? Turn that up a little bit. Right? So I didn't actually shave it off in the track. I waited till I got to the mastering stage to shave it off. But if you don't have the mastering program that I have, this is something you can do in the mix stage. And you would do it with one thing only, the bass reduction, which is right here. And let me show you what it looks like. And it's exactly what it, sounds like. It's a filter. It's a low end filter. So this is with all the low end on, right? You can get all the way, up to that telephone sound. So, for me, like if I was to choose a place, if, I know you guys are always looking for like settings and stuff, I'd say, somewhere in this area, the 150 hertz down to 100 hertz, that's a decent place to at least just drop it at 100 hertz, 150 hertz, and you're just shaving off all the unusable low end. Now, why do you want to shave off all that unusable low end? Because what it ends up doing is making your mix muddy and you don't hear the bass. You like all I hear a lot of times you guys send me these mixes and I just hear like coming out of the bass and I'm like, well, why even, just have some guy going blah, blah, blah into a microphone. Don't waste the bass player's time. You know what I mean? It's just sort of pointless if that's what the final product sounds like. If you can't hear each individual instrument, like if you're listening intently and really analyzing it, you should be able to hear each individual instrument nice, clear, very departmentalized. And that goes for the drums too. You should be able to hear the kick, the snare, the cymbals, the toms, the hi-hat. Every individual instrument should be heard as much as possible. So what I'm talking about basically here is just shaving off the fat, shaving off the stuff you don't need. If you're using cheap microphones, like I said before, high end is a big problem for you guys, and I know. So use that treble reducer and, again, bass reduction to get rid of all that muddy low end. And you just have to listen with your ears, and you just sort of, especially with the high end, I always like really, there's a point where it's just, there's too much high end, there's too little high end, and then there's somewhere in the middle that just sounds right. So this is going to take time. But getting rid of all this unusable low end, all that extraneous high end will definitely make your mixes sound better. This applies for voices, guitars, basses, anything that you record. You just want to sort of figure out what is the frequency response range of that instrument. And actually, you know what? One thing I can show you to do that, if you're looking for like, how does that work? What is the frequency response range of that instrument? Nice thing about Garageband is you can analyze it and you can actually see here, right? So you can see in this curve, like right around here in this area, above the 20 hertz range, this is where the majority of the bass tone lives. And you actually could have seen it, should have paused there. But, right here, you can see. So the top of that curve, that's, the real usable sonic range that you're looking for. Same thing with guitars. Let me go down to the guitar and show you. Right? So look at this. You should be able to look at these things and analyze it as to, what are the most prominent frequencies that are coming out of the recording of, in this case, the guitar. And then look at the points where it's like there's just a little bit of information, just shave off that little bit of information. If there's like just a little bit of junk at the high end, just shave it off, because you do end up hearing it, but in such a subtle way that it's sort of unnoticeable. But when you do remove it, suddenly you'll find that guitars are warmer sounding. The high end is actually a lot better and more defined, because there's not so much of this like tinny, shitty high end happening. You know what I mean? Same thing with the low end. If you got too much sub frequencies, just muddies up the whole thing and you can't hear it. So that's pretty much it, you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave the comments below. I love answering them as fast as possible. And that's it. Sign up below. Get that shoppers list for the home recording studio. Talk to you later.